Dr. Rice brushed a strand of silver-streaked hair from her face as she studied the holographic display. The alien probe's scan patterns were methodical, almost predictable in their thoroughness. "They're cataloging our communications infrastructure," she noted, pointing to a flashing red indicator hovering over North America. "Notice how they're focusing on broadcast centers, satellite uplinks, but completely ignoring our subsurface fiber networks." General Williams nodded, his weathered face impassive under the blue glow of the command center's lights. "So they can't detect anything below a certain depth. That confirms our hypothesis about their sensor limitations. 20 years ago, when the first hints of extraterrestrial activity reached Earth's long-range detection grid, humanity had made a collective decision unlike any in its tumultuous history. Instead of broadcasting their discoveries or panicking, world leaders had quietly begun preparing. The Unified Defense Network, buried 2 kilometers beneath the Swiss Alps, represented the culmination of that preparation, a multinational effort hidden from public view, and apparently, from alien sensors as well. "Status of Ghost Protocol?" asked Dr. Rice, turning to the young lieutenant monitoring global defense systems. 97% operational, ma'am. The decoy networks are transmitting as expected, and our actual military communications are running through the quantum-encrypted channels only. Outside, life continued as normal. Farmers tended fields that concealed missile silos. Beachgoers swam above underwater hangars housing hypersonic interceptors. Schoolchildren played in parks with anti-orbital batteries disguised as playground equipment. The greatest deception in human history unfolded in plain sight. In orbit, the alien probe adjusted its position, capturing high-resolution imagery of major cities. Its artificial intelligence flagged military installations for further analysis, completely unaware that what it observed were elaborate facades, Hollywood-designed replicas with just enough activity to appear genuine. Dr. Rice walked to the panoramic window overlooking the command center floor, where hundreds of specialists from dozens of nations worked in harmonious precision. Russians collaborated with Americans on electronic countermeasures. Chinese quantum computing experts fine-tuned algorithms alongside British cyber warfare specialists. The looming threat had accomplished what centuries of diplomacy could not: true global cooperation. "Our observers in the Kuiper Belt have confirmed the presence of a larger vessel," reported Commander Takahashi, approaching with a tablet displaying long-range telescope imagery. "Based on its energy signature, we believe it's their mothership, holding position just beyond Neptune's orbit." Dr. Rice accepted the tablet, studying the grainy image of a vessel that dwarfed anything humanity had ever constructed. "They're being cautious." "Good. That gives us more time." "Time for what?" asked General Williams. Dr. Rice smiled thinly. "Time to complete the Lazarus Protocol." In a cavernous facility beneath the Gobi Desert, thousands of engineers were putting the finishing touches on humanity's final surprise. A fleet of spacecraft incorporating both human innovation and reverse-engineered technology from a crashed alien vessel recovered decades ago and kept secret from the public. The ships were unlike anything in science fiction, not sleek or beautiful, but brutally functional, designed specifically to counter the technology their intelligence suggested the kingdom possessed. "How long before they make their decision?" General Williams asked. Dr. Rice consulted the predictive models running on a dedicated quantum computer. "Based on their scanning patterns and the communication bursts we've detected, I'd say 3 days, perhaps 4. High Commander Zextrol seems methodical, not impulsive. He'll want comprehensive intelligence before committing his forces. And when they come..." Dr. Rice turned to face the assembled military leaders, her expression resolute. "Then we'll show them that humanity is not the primitive species they believe us to be. We'll show them what happens when you threaten a planet that has spent its entire evolutionary history perfecting the art of survival." "Primitive projectile weapons," scoffed Sub-Commander Vexenar, Zextrol's most trusted advisor, as he manipulated the holographic display to show footage of a military parade in Beijing. "They still rely on chemical propellants and physical ammunition." Zextrol clicked his secondary mandibles in amusement. Their most advanced aircraft can barely achieve hypersonic velocities. Our atmosphere skimmers would run circles around them before they could even lock targeting systems. The War Council meeting aboard the Eternal Conquest continued with similar dismissive assessments. The interstellar kingdom had conquered worlds with deflector shield technology, antimatter weaponry, and faster-than-light capabilities. By comparison, Earth appeared to be centuries behind, a technological infant still taking its first steps into space. There is one anomaly worth noting, interrupted Science Officer Krelzen, her voice softer than the military commander's. Their communications technology evolved unusually quickly over the past century. Irrelevant. Sextrol waved a limb dismissively. Many species experience technological growth spurts before being properly civilized by the kingdom. In the Grand Throne Room, decorated with trophies from 100 conquered worlds, no one questioned the High Commander's assessment. The kingdom had never failed in an acquisition, and this backwater planet would be no different. Meanwhile, 12 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean floor, Dr. Rice and her team monitored every transmission from the alien fleet. The underwater facility, known as Mariana Base, housed the most advanced listening post ever constructed by human hands. "They're discussing our military capabilities," translated Dr. Amit Singh, the linguistics expert who had spent years developing algorithms to decode the aliens' complex language patterns. They're laughing at us." Dr. Rice allowed herself a small smile. "Perfect. Let them underestimate us." Across the vast chamber, scientists and military analysts from every nation worked at monitoring stations, each focused on different aspects of the impending invasion. Dr. Hikaru Tanaka, the quantum physicist who had revolutionized humanity's understanding of subspace particles, approached with a tablet displaying complex equations. "We finished analyzing their shield frequency patterns," she reported, dark eyes gleaming with excitement. "There's a millisecond vulnerability during each cycle reset. If we time our electromagnetic pulse weapons precisely, we can create cascade failures throughout their defensive systems." Dr. Reyes nodded appreciatively. "How accurate does the timing need to be?" "Within 3 nanoseconds. Can we achieve that?" Dr. Tanaka's confident smile was answer enough. "The quantum entangled targeting system is already being calibrated. Admiral Chen's orbital platforms will be ready when we need them." On the surface, life proceeded with carefully orchestrated normalcy. Commercial flights continued their usual routes, though many now carried sophisticated sensor packages disguised as ordinary cargo. Internet traffic flowed uninterrupted, but behind the mundane searches and social media posts, military commands and defensive preparations traveled through encrypted channels invisible to the kingdom's monitoring systems. In the Sahara Desert, what appeared to be a refugee camp from ongoing climate displacement was actually a forward operating base, with tents concealing entrances to underground hangars. In Antarctica, research stations served as covers for massive energy weapons built into the ice itself. Every continent harbored similar secrets, humanity's insurance policy against extinction. "The Kingdom fleet is moving," announced a monitoring technician at Mariana Base. "Multiple vessels breaking formation around Neptune." Dr. Reyes straightened, her moment of calm preparation coming to an end. "They've made their decision earlier than expected. Alert all command centers. Initiate Phase 2 of Ghost Protocol." Throughout the world, selected military personnel received coded messages. Defense systems remained dormant but ready. The trap was set. "How long until they reach Earth orbit?" Dr. Rice asked. "At their current acceleration, 19 hours, 14 minutes. Dr. Rice nodded resolutely. "Then we have 19 hours to perfect our welcome. Let's make sure it's one the kingdom will never forget." The kingdom's ultimatum echoed through every device capable of receiving a signal. Panicked crowds filled the streets, exactly as Dr. Rice had planned. The carefully orchestrated evacuation disguised as mass panic moved civilians efficiently toward underground shelters, while maintaining the appearance of a society caught completely unprepared. Aboard the Eternal Conquest High Commander Zex Troll observed the chaos with satisfaction. "See how they scatter like prey animals," he remarked to his bridge officers. "Begin the demonstration strikes. Target their military installations first, then one population center on each continent." Kingdom gunners locked onto their targets with precision weapon systems that could allegedly hit a moving target from orbit with millimeter accuracy. Energy weapons charge, their distinctive purple glow illuminating the massive ship's underbellies. On screens across the command ship, officers watched as Washington's Pentagon erupted in spectacular flames. Similar explosions blossomed across Beijing's military district, Moscow's defense ministry, and other strategic locations worldwide. Each detonation was followed by cheers from the kingdom's crew. "Send the second wave," ordered Zex Troll, mandibles flexing with pleasure. "Let them witness true power." What the aliens couldn't know was that the Pentagon they'd just destroyed was an elaborate facade, a hollow replica constructed 2 kilometers from the actual building, which had been quietly relocated underground years earlier. Similar decoys have been built near every critical military installation worldwide, filled with enough conventional explosives to create convincing detonations when struck. In the White House Situation Room, itself a decoy located in a Hollywood studio while the real president operated from a bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, actors in military uniforms performed a carefully rehearsed scene of panic and desperation, broadcasting on frequencies they knew the aliens were monitoring. "My God, they've taken out our entire Eastern Defense Network," shouted a decorated general, his performance worthy of an Academy Award. "Sir, we have to surrender before they target civilian populations." The false president, looking appropriately grave, nodded reluctantly. "Prepare the surrender broadcast. We can't risk." The transmission cut off abruptly as Kingdom weapons struck the decoy White House, creating another satisfying explosion for the alien observers. Deep beneath Lake Geneva, in the true command center of Earth's defense network, Dr. Reyes monitored the aliens' reactions through hacked feeds from their own communication systems. "They're celebrating," reported a cybersecurity specialist who had infiltrated the alien shipboard cameras. "They believe they've crippled our command structure." Dr. Reyes nodded, pleased. "What's the status of evacuation operations?" 87% complete globally. The remaining 13% should reach shelter within the next 40 minutes. On the main display, a real-time map showed billions of humans moving through hidden tunnels, subterranean transit systems, and underwater passages to reach the vast shelter network built throughout the past 2 decades. It was the largest coordinated movement of people in human history, disguised as chaotic panic. In orbit, Kingdom landing craft began their deployment. Thousands of troop carriers prepared to claim their newly conquered territory, their sensors detecting minimal resistance ahead. "Status of Operation Trojan?" Dr. Rice asked. "All holographic projectors are online and calibrated. Demolition charges are ready in all decoy structures." Dr. Rice allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. 20 years of preparation, trillions in secret funding, and unprecedented global cooperation had led to this moment. The kingdom thought they were witnessing Earth's last desperate moments before surrender. Instead, they were seeing an elaborate theatrical production designed to lower their guard. "Begin final preparations for Phase 3, she ordered. "As soon as confirmation comes that all civilians are secure, signal Captain Chen that Operation Phalanx is authorized." Around the world, hidden weapon systems powered up. Disguised defensive platforms prepared to reveal themselves. The kingdom's false victory was about to become humanity's first real counterattack. Captain Marcus Chen felt the subtle vibration of the Aegis platform systems powering up beneath his feet. For 7 years, he had commanded this orbital fortress disguised as a defunct weather satellite, waiting for the day it would fulfill its purpose. That day had finally arrived. "All weapon systems online," reported Lieutenant Kamara, her fingers dancing across holographic controls. "Kinetic rail guns charge. EMP generators at full capacity." Around the Earth, 17 other platforms identical to Aegis silently shed their camouflage, revealing sleek, angular structures bristling with weaponry that had remained classified beyond top secret. Even most world governments hadn't known of their existence. Only a select committee of scientists and military leaders had been entrusted with the knowledge of humanity's true orbital defense capabilities. "Targeting systems locked on primary vessels," announced Lieutenant Kamara. "Awaiting your command." Captain Chen took a deep breath. The Kingdom ships were committed to their invasion trajectories, their landing craft descending through the atmosphere in precise formation. They had no idea what awaited them. "Execute Operation Phalanx," he ordered calmly. Across Earth's orbit, 18 defense platforms fired simultaneously. Electromagnetic pulses precisely calibrated to the vulnerabilities Dr. Tanaka had identified surged outward, catching the Kingdom vessels at exactly the moment their shields cycled. The effect was immediate and devastating. Kingdom ships that had confidently begun their attack runs suddenly went dark, their navigation systems scrambled and weapons offline. Landing craft tumbled from controlled descents into chaotic spirals. Communication channels filled with panicked alien voices. "Secondary systems engaging," reported Lieutenant Kamara with professional detachment that belied the historic moment unfolding before them. From the lunar dark side, camouflaged mass drivers that had been constructed in secret by an international consortium revealed themselves. These enormous electromagnetic launchers had been positioned to remain undetectable by Kingdom sensors, and now they fired in sequence, launching specially designed kinetic penetrators toward the largest alien vessels. On the Eternal Conquest, High Commander Zextrol struggled to comprehend the sudden reversal. Warning klaxons blared as systems failed throughout his flagship. "Impossible," he roared as damage reports flooded in from all quadrants. "Their technology is primitive. Their weapons are ineffective." His protests were cut short as the bridge shuddered violently. A kinetic penetrator had struck the command ship's primary engine array, its specially formulated composite material punching through the suddenly vulnerable hull like a bullet through paper. Back on the Aegis platform, Captain Chen watched with grim satisfaction as the orbital battle unfolded exactly as thousands of simulations had predicted. The Kingdom fleet, so confident in their technological superiority, had never considered that their systems might be vulnerable to precisely targeted attacks based on extensive study of their weaknesses. "Phase 1 complete," reported Lieutenant Kamara. "Enemy fleet effectiveness reduced by 68%. Shall we proceed to Phase 2? Captain Chen nodded. "Signal the submarine carriers. Launch the atmospheric interceptors." Far below, the seemingly placid ocean surfaces began to churn as massive underwater doors slid open. From these hidden hangars emerged squadrons of aircraft unlike anything publicly acknowledged, the culmination of classified aerospace technology developed across decades. The interceptors rose silently, powered by revolutionary propulsion systems that left no heat signature. Their hulls, coated in metamaterials that absorbed rather than reflected radar, made them nearly invisible to conventional detection methods. And unlike the flashy, overconfident Kingdom ships, these human craft were designed with one purpose: efficient lethality against a specific enemy. "This is Barracuda Squadron." Airborne and proceeding to targets, came the voice of Squadron Leader Ramirez over the secure channel. "Permission to engage alien craft in lower atmosphere." Captain Chen allowed himself a small smile. "Permission granted. Barracuda Leader, show them what happens when humanity is pushed into a corner." Commander Sarah Okonkwo signaled her team to hold position as the alien patrol passed through the dense Congolese rainforest. Her multinational squad, comprising specialists from 23 different countries, remained perfectly still, their exo-armor's adaptive camouflage rendering them nearly indistinguishable from the surrounding vegetation. The aliens moved awkwardly through the unfamiliar terrain, their bulky environmental suits clearly designed for the sterile corridors of spacecraft rather than Earth's diverse ecosystems. One soldier slipped on the muddy forest floor, cursing in the kingdom's guttural language as its companions chittered in what might have been laughter. "They're not adapting to our gravity," whispered Lieutenant Kagawa, the Japanese tactical specialist whose family had lived through 3 generations of secret military preparation. "Their homeworld must have significantly less mass than Earth." Commander Okonkwo nodded slightly. Every weakness, every limitation they identified became another advantage. For decades, humanity had prepared for this moment without knowing exactly what form the enemy would take. Now, they were discovering that even evolution itself had given them unexpected edges. "Release the microdrones," she ordered quietly. Lieutenant Rodriguez, the squad's technology specialist, tapped a command into his wrist console. From hidden compartments in their armor, thousands of insect-sized drones swarmed outward, their tiny wings barely audible even in the relative quiet of the forest. Designed to mimic local insect species, the microdrones approached the alien patrol, landing unnoticed on their environmental suits. Each drone carried a specifically engineered electromagnetic disruptor calibrated to the frequencies Dr. Rai's team had identified in the kingdom's technology. Once in position, they simultaneously activated, sending precisely timed pulses through the aliens' equipment. The effect was immediate. Environmental suits locked up, communication systems went silent, and weapons powered down. The kingdom soldiers, suddenly trapped in their own armor, thrashed helplessly as the human squad emerged from hiding. "Secure them for transport," Commander Okonkwo ordered. "Dr. Rais will want live specimens for further study." Similar scenes played out across every continent as kingdom landing parties encountered Earth's diverse environments, and the defenders who knew them intimately. In Siberia, Russian special forces lured alien squads onto seemingly frozen lakes where the ice had been deliberately weakened. In the Sahara, Tuareg guides led kingdom patrols into areas where quicksand pits had been carefully prepared. In urban areas, resistance fighters used their knowledge of sewage systems and subway tunnels to ambush and capture alien units. At Kingdom Forward Base Alpha, hastily established in what had been Central Park in the supposedly devastated New York City, Sub-Commander Vexnar struggled to maintain order as reports of unit losses flooded in from around the globe. "How are these primitives coordinating such effective resistance?" he demanded, smashing a holographic display in frustration. "Our intelligence indicated their military command structure was completely destroyed." A junior officer approached cautiously. "Sir, analysis suggests their tactics vary significantly by region, but all show unexpected sophistication. They're using knowledge of local conditions that our forces simply don't possess." Vexnar hissed in frustration. "Where are our reinforcements? Has High Command responded to our distress signals?" "All communication with the fleet remains disrupted, sir. We're effectively cut off." Unknown to Vexnar, his communications were being actively intercepted by networked quantum computers hidden throughout the city's subway system. Every transmission, every frustrated order, every piece of tactical information was being fed directly into humanity's defense network, allowing them to predict and counter each kingdom move before it was fully implemented. In the Unified Command Center beneath Geneva, Commander Okonkwo's latest report appeared on Dr. Ray's screen. Ground forces have secured approximately 68% of landed kingdom troops. Minimal human casualties reported. Captured alien technology being transported to research facilities for immediate analysis. Dr. Rice allowed herself a moment of satisfaction before turning to General Williams. "It's time for Phase 3. Inform Captain Chen to prepare the orbital platforms for the kingdom's reinforcements. They'll be arriving soon, and they'll be coming with a much larger force." Dr. Rice studied the quantum fluctuation patterns on the massive holographic display dominating the center of the command room. The ghostly signature of hyperspace ruptures was unmistakable. The kingdom's reinforcements were arriving, and in far greater numbers than even their most pessimistic projections had anticipated. "They've committed a third of their total fleet strength," noted Admiral Cheng, the Chinese naval commander who had overseen construction of the Pacific defense grid. The kingdom must be desperate to save face. Dr. Reyes nodded grimly. Or they've realized Earth isn't the easy conquest they assumed. Either way, we're looking at over 700 capital ships and thousands of support vessels. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Earth's defenses had performed admirably against the initial invasion force, but this armada represented a threat of an entirely different magnitude. Status of the Antarctica project, Dr. Reyes asked, turning to Dr. Jürgen Weiss, the quantum physicist who had pioneered the experimental technology that represented humanity's contingency plan. The accelerators are at 93% capacity, Dr. Weiss replied, his German accent thickening with stress. We've never generated a field this large before. The mathematics suggest it will work, but mathematics will have to be enough. Dr. Reyes interrupted. We won't get a second chance. Beneath the Antarctic ice, the largest particle accelerators ever constructed by human hands powered up to full capacity. Built in secret over 15 years, the interlocking rings stretched for kilometers through artificially created caverns, their existence known only to a select few within each participating nation's scientific community. In orbit around Jupiter, Grand Admiral Krell observed the distant blue marble of Earth with predatory anticipation. His personal battle fleet, a third of the kingdom's total military might, had responded to High Commander Zextrol's distress call with unprecedented speed. The humans have surprising capabilities, acknowledged his tactical officer. Preliminary reports suggest they somehow developed countermeasures specifically tailored to our systems. Impossible. Krell dismissed the concern with a wave of his upper limb. More likely, Zextrol's forces were sloppy and overconfident. We will not make the same mistake. Krell turned to his communication officer. Signal all ships to begin acceleration toward Earth. Maximum combat speed. I want overwhelming force at every engagement point. As the massive Kingdom Armada began its approach, Earth's orbital defense platforms repositioned themselves. Captain Chen coordinated their movements from the Aegis *, knowing they would be grossly outnumbered even with their technological advantages. All platforms report ready, Lieutenant Camara informed him. But sir, against these numbers. I know, Chen replied grimly. We're not meant to stop them, just delay them until Dr. Reyes springs the next surprise. Back in the Geneva Command Center, Dr. Reyes opened a secure communication channel to all Earth Defense Forces. Operation Einstein is now active. All units prepare for potential spatial distortion effects. Ground forces maintain position and continue securing landed Kingdom troops. Orbital assets begin tactical retreat to designated safe coordinates. Dr. Weiss approached with the final activation key for the Antarctic array. His hand trembled slightly as he offered the quantum-encrypted device. Once activated, we cannot stop the reaction until it runs its course. The spatial distortion will affect a volume of space extending well beyond Earth's orbit. Dr. Reyes accepted the key with steady hands. Have faith in your mathematics, Doctor. Either they're correct, or none of us will be around to know they weren't. She inserted the key into the command console and turned it. Throughout the Antarctic facility, massive superconducting magnets powered to levels never before achieved on Earth. The experimental technology, based partly on theories derived from studying Kingdom hyperspace signatures, began to manipulate the fabric of space-time itself. As Grand Admiral Krell's fleet approached the halfway point between Jupiter and Earth, sensors detected an unusual energy signature emanating from the blue planet. What is that? Krell demanded, leaning forward in his command chair. Before his science officer could respond, space itself seemed to fold before the Kingdom fleet. A swirling vortex of distorted reality appeared directly in their path, defying everything the Kingdom knew about physics and space-time manipulation. Grand Admiral Krell slammed his upper appendage against the command console, cracking its crystalline surface. The situation had deteriorated beyond his worst nightmares. Half his fleet was stranded light years away, and the remaining ships were being systematically disabled by weapons that, according to all Kingdom intelligence, humans should not possess. No more strategic games, he hissed, his voice dropping to a dangerous register that made his officers flinch. Divert all power to weapon systems. Target their population centers with our remaining planet crackers. If we cannot have this world, no one will. His tactical officer hesitated momentarily before executing the order. Even among the kingdom's hardened warriors, planetary destruction was considered an extreme measure, reserved only for the most dire circumstances. The kingdom's remaining capital ships repositioned themselves above Earth's major cities: New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, Tokyo, and more. Their ventral bays opened to reveal massive energy weapons designed to fracture tectonic plates and render planets uninhabitable. In Geneva, alarms blared as sensors detected the energy buildup in the kingdom vessels. "They're preparing to deploy planet crackers," reported Admiral Cheng, his normally impassive face showing genuine concern. Dr. Reyes nodded calmly. "As predicted, signal all cities to activate Phase Omega." Throughout the world's urban centers, evacuation sirens wailed. But instead of causing panic, they triggered a transformation. Civilians who had been sheltering in underground bunkers watched through viewing screens as their cities underwent an astonishing metamorphosis. In New York, the gleaming facades of skyscrapers slid aside to reveal sophisticated defense systems. Central Park's grassy expanse split open as an enormous energy shield generator rose from underground. The Statue of Liberty's torch flared to life, projecting a localized electromagnetic disruption field that scrambled kingdom targeting systems. Similar scenes unfolded across the globe. In London, the London Eye stopped its rotation and reconfigured into a massive sensor array. In Tokyo, seemingly decorative architectural elements on dozens of buildings rotated into position, creating a citywide defense grid. In Rio de Janeiro, the Christ the Redeemer statue's outstretched arms generated a protective energy dome over the city. These weren't hastily assembled defenses, but carefully designed systems integrated into urban planning decades earlier, camouflaged as architectural features, public monuments, and infrastructure improvements. Grand Admiral Krell watched in disbelief as his targeting systems failed to lock onto Earth's cities. "What is happening?" he demanded. "The humans have activated some kind of urban defense network," reported his increasingly nervous science officer. "Our sensors cannot penetrate their protective fields." On Krell's command ship, the mood shifted from vengeful determination to uneasy concern. The kingdom had conquered hundreds of worlds, but none had revealed such layers of defense, such careful preparation. Captain Chen, monitoring the situation from the Aegis platform, recognized the moment of advantage. All orbital units converge on the Admiral's flagship. Priority target. Meanwhile, Dr. Reyes received an urgent communication. "Ma'am, Operation Trojan Horse is ready to execute." She smiled slightly. "Authorize Captain Santiago's team to proceed." Aboard Krell's flagship, in a maintenance access tunnel near the main reactor, Captain Maria Santiago and her multinational Special Forces team finished placing the last of their specialized charges. For the past 6 hours, they had infiltrated the massive vessel using a captured kingdom shuttle and forged authorization codes extracted from prisoners. "Charges set," reported Lieutenant Kim, the Korean demolitions expert, targeting their main power distribution nodes. Captain Santiago nodded, checking the timer on her specialized exo-armor. "Perfect. Now for the data core." Dr. Rice was very clear. The intelligence is even more valuable than disabling the ship. The team moved silently through the vessel's maintenance shafts, using routes identified through detailed analysis of captured kingdom ships. Their mission represented the culmination of years of Special Forces training specifically designed for off-world operations, another secret preparation humanity had made for this moment. As Grand Admiral Krell raged at his failing weapon systems, he remained completely unaware that humans had already breached his supposedly impenetrable flagship and were about to deliver the most devastating blow of all, not to his ship, but to the entire kingdom's future. 2 weeks after the failed invasion, High Commander Zextrol sat in silence in his containment cell beneath Geneva. Once resplendent in ceremonial armor adorned with trophies from conquered worlds, he now wore a simple gray coverall designed to accommodate his alien physiology. His mandibles clicked occasionally, a nervous tic that human xenobiologists had identified as a sign of deep distress among his species. The door slid open, and Dr. Elena Reyes entered, accompanied by a delegation of Earth's highest-ranking officials. Despite the victory, her face showed signs of exhaustion from the countless hours spent coordinating humanity's defense and the subsequent diplomatic initiatives. "High Commander," she acknowledged with a respectful nod. "I trust you've been treated according to the protocols we discussed." Zextrol's compound eyes focused on her. "Your containment is adequate," he admitted reluctantly, "though I fail to understand why you haven't executed me. Victory typically demands the elimination of one's enemies." Dr. Reyes smiled slightly. "That may be how the kingdom operates, but Earth has different ideas about what constitutes victory." She activated a holographic projector displaying the galactic map, unlike anything the kingdom had ever created. It showed not just spatial coordinates but cultural connections, trade relationships, and diplomatic ties between hundreds of worlds. "Your data core proved most illuminating," she continued. "We now understand the full extent of the kingdom's empire and its fundamental weaknesses." Zextrol's posture stiffened. "You've breached our secure networks. Captain Santiago's team recovered your entire strategic database before disabling your flagship. Grand Admiral Krell never knew they were aboard until it was too late." Outside the containment facility, celebrations continued across Earth. The defeat of the Interstellar Kingdom had united humanity in ways previously unimaginable. Ancient enemies now collaborated on defense initiatives, cultural exchanges flourished, and the technological advancements developed for war were being rapidly adapted for peaceful purposes. "Your remaining vessels have retreated beyond Neptune's orbit," Dr. Rice informed the captive commander. "We've allowed them to establish a communication link with Kingdom Central Command. They're awaiting instructions on how to proceed." Zextrol's mandibles clicked rapidly. "And what instructions do you believe they will receive?" "That's what we're here to discuss." Dr. Rice gestured to the human delegation. "These representatives from Earth's Unified Council have drafted terms for a formal cessation of hostilities between Earth and the Interstellar Kingdom." She handed him a translucent tablet displaying the proposed terms. Zextrol's compound eyes widened as he scrolled through the document. "These are surprisingly lenient," he admitted. "No reparations, no territorial concessions. You're not even demanding our weapons technology. What we're offering is something the kingdom has never tried: genuine diplomatic recognition and cooperation rather than subjugation." Dr. Rice leaned forward. "We've also transmitted these terms to every world in your empire, along with evidence of your defeat." Zextrol froze. "You wouldn't dare." "We already have." Captain Chen departed 3 days ago, leading Earth's first diplomatic fleet. They're carrying ambassadors to every major system in what was formerly Kingdom space. In orbit above Earth, the newly commissioned vessel Unity prepared for its maiden voyage. Admiral Chen, recently promoted for his crucial role in the defense of Earth, stood on the bridge surveying his diverse crew, scientists, diplomats, and military personnel from every nation. "Final checks complete, Admiral," reported his executive officer. "All systems nominal. The diplomatic corps reports ready for departure." Chen nodded, still adjusting to his new rank and responsibilities. The ship represented a monumental achievement, the first Earth vessel incorporating both human innovation and adapted kingdom technology. Unlike the gaudy, intimidating kingdom ships, the Unity was designed to embody humanity's new approach to galactic relations: pragmatic, collaborative, and fundamentally peaceful despite its formidable capabilities. "Set course for the Centauri system," Chen ordered. "Let's introduce ourselves to the neighborhood properly this time."